Good morning. I'm Herb Devin. I'm sponsor of the Sustainable Campus Initiative and really want to welcome you here today for our seminar. Of course, we meet in a LEED Silver certified building, one of the examples of our Sustainable Campus Initiative. Our Sustainable Campus Initiative was started 5 years ago in 2008 to encompass all of our sustainable activities at the laboratory. And it's really been a wonderful example of pulling the research and the operations people together to showcase sustainability, to give examples of the sustainable technologies that we develop and to become an example for others to follow. It really allows us to walk the talk on sustainability. And talking about walking the talk, the purpose of these is to showcase some of the technology, and our speaker today is Susan Michaud, and Susan is our pollution prevention coordinator, but she's really been a idea generator behind sustainability for a number of years. And of the many awards that the lab has gotten, there's a significant number that are due to Susan's tenacity in highlighting the accomplishments of the laboratory. And I've gone to Washington, D.C. at times with Susan to receive awards from the laboratory. Susan has managed our ORNL pollution prevention program for some 20 years, and she's certainly not afraid of getting down and into the dirt and to generate ideas and programs for us to implement in the laboratory. I can tell Susan's going to have something really interesting for us today, so please join me in welcoming Susan Michaud. That would be a good idea to start their cell phones.
Thank you, Herb. I appreciate the introduction. I have had a ball doing this job for 23 years. It's gone from managing little things and making small amounts of progress to every now and then beating my head against the wall to no avail, to more of a roller coaster, woo! When Sustainable Campus started. And when Sustainable Campus started, it really galvanized this laboratory into pulling together fun people, energetic people, people that had a lot to contribute. And then when they got in the same room, it was out of control. It was so positive, and that makes my job, or the piece of my job where I nominate people and programs for awards, really easy. It's fun to be able to pull together those nominations. And the last one that we know that we got is a FEMP award. It's a big deal because it is not just DOE, it is all federal agencies, and we're being recognized for our water conservation. And so a lot of the things, LEED buildings where we put in water conserving technologies, the changes to the steam plant, aggressive fixing leaks. We've compiled all those together, and so we're reducing our water consumption at ORNL. And, you know, in a year like this, it's kind of hard to get enthusiastic about water conservation, but it is important. and we have done a great job. We have a goal that we're supposed to meet, I think in 2015, or maybe in 2020, and we met it this year. You know, that's pretty cool. So, all right, enough with awards. I'm going to move on to my presentation. I play with garbage. It's glamorous. It's fun. Anytime that you guys want to play with garbage, you can call me, and that's what we can do. And so I've got some pictures of garbage. Obviously, the title of my presentation, What's Wrong with This? And then Can You Spot the Opportunity? All right. Now, to start out on a really fun note, here's the driver. We have an executive order. It's Executive Order 13514, and it is expansive. It covers many, many, many different topics. The topics are written on the slide. The goal of this is because all federal agencies have enormous buying power. And if we can get the federal government to head down a path, then other companies can follow. It creates sort of a market energy. A couple of examples, and if you've been here long enough, and I can tell some of you have, you might remember when we first started buying recycled content paper. Does anybody remember being slightly aggravated by recycled content paper? We were supposed to buy it. It doesn't matter if you recycle something unless you put it into another product, but it was fuzzy, it was low quality, it jammed the copy machines. Well, what happened? It took a little time, but because the federal government was buying the product, the quality improved. And now you can't tell recycled content paper from virgin paper. So it's a quality product now. Same thing with LEEDs. When UT Battelle first decided, we're going to build a LEEDs building, how many LEED certified engineers could you find in the state of Tennessee? 0. And because we created the demand, quality engineers went and got the training, the certifications. We started a green building program in the state of Tennessee, and now we have more than anyone else. But, you know, UT has LEED buildings. Knoxville has LEED buildings. They're putting solar panels on the bus station. So we created a group of experts that then offer that skill to other buyers. So that's the whole point of this program. It is to get the green markets headed in the right direction. All right, the two areas that I'm going to talk about, like I said, are garbage, municipal waste, and construction and demolition waste. And I'm going to spend most of my time on municipal waste. Municipal waste is what comes from your house, what comes from businesses. We have a big business, and ours is really municipal-like waste. It goes to a landfill. Our landfill is located at Y12. We share that with Y12 and ETTP. And, you know, it's kind of nice to have your own landfill, but it also makes it real easy. Oh, we'll just send it to the landfill. It's just down the road about 6 miles. But in this executive order, we have a goal, and our goal of all the stuff that we generate that is a candidate to go to the landfill, we need to divert 50% of it. And diverting means reuse and recycling. We have exactly the same goal for the construction and demolition waste, but it's tracked differently, and you'll see when I get close to the end of my presentation, it makes sense that it's tracked a little bit differently. It's just a different animal as far as what kinds of waste you end up generating. All right, so municipal diversion. How's ORNL doing? Well, we're not really doing that great. We're not doing terrible, but we are not currently on track to meet the diversion goal. If we were on track, the green bars would touch the yellow bars. The yellow bar is 50% of what we generated in that fiscal year. So you can see the trend is headed in the right direction, but at this rate, it is not going to get there by the year 2015. So we need to kind of ratchet it up a little bit and see if we can do better on diverting some of the waste that we now send to the landfill. All right. First of all, don't be offended if you recognize your garbage in this slide presentation, Michael. Okay, what's the opportunity here? And this is the garbage can in 2518, my building. My building, where I, like a hawk, look in our garbage can. All right, let me help you out. It is a chunky style chowder. Okay, is it recyclable? Yes, it is. We would like for you to rinse it out. We don't want anything gross. We don't want anything smelly. You don't have to clean it. It doesn't have to be soap, water, spongy clean. Go ahead and put that in the recyclables with the plastic and the aluminum. And every year we've been seeing a slight increase in the amount of steel that we've recycled through this program. All right, what's the opportunity here? Again, my garbage can, my building, all right? Our aluminum can recycling program is one of our long-standing programs. And because I've been here so long, here's a little history. It used to be very difficult for the lab to recycle because we have lots of concerns about contamination, primarily radioactivity. But the thought here was if you could put this container to your lips, you better be able to recycle it, or we have bigger problems. So this was our real first success story, was being able to recycle aluminum cans. The other thing is, and we work at a government agency, that's your property. It's not government property. So we didn't have that issue either. You put in, and at the time it was 60 cents. It's not 60 cents anymore. You put the money in the machine and you get 12 ounces of soda and the can. The can is yours. We recycled them, and at the time, we donated the proceeds to Ronald McDonald House. And that was a good and worthy thing to do. Now, we use the value of the cans to offset the cost of collection. And again, you can see the trend is headed in the right direction. Every year, we generate, or we collect, a little bit more. All right, and this is my shout to Joan Lawson. The pictures that I've taken of my own garbage can in my own building are how far from my recycle bins. I mean, you had to trip over the aluminum can one to get to the garbage can. So you got to make just a little bit of effort, take those few extra steps, and the step challenge, I think the last day is today. So just think you could have, 6 more steps on your total there. All right, the opportunity here, and this is one of the things I think is my responsibility as this program manager, making sure everybody knows what can go in a bin. Everybody knows, I hope, that this can go in the bin. It's copier paper. It's white. It goes in. What about your lean cuisine box? Can it go in? Yes. Yes, it can. Something that's spiral bound, can it go in? Yes. Glossy? Yes. Sticky, gooey cheese? No. Good job. That's really the only thing I don't want is something that's going to be putrescible, and I just like saying that. The CFRs that are stacked on this collection bin, they can go in. I'll come by with the key and unlock it and stick them in because they won't fit in the slot. Good job, good job. You know what? You get a door prize. At the end, I'm giving away door prizes. All right, what's the opportunity here? Plastic. This one's a tricky one. It even says on there, please recycle. Okay, it's misleading. You can't recycle this. Not in East Tennessee. It's a 4. In East Tennessee, you can only recycle 1s and 2s. There is no market for anything else. So it's nice of them to suggest we recycle. Scientific basis, you can recycle a 4. Well, but there's no market, and it would be silly to drive around little bits of plastic trying to recycle something, you just can't do it. You can reuse this. and you can reuse it in our shipping operations. We see lots of stuff come in because, you know, you order something off of supplies, chemicals, containers, vials, it comes to you. We ship a lot of stuff out. So there's a lot of things. They like packing peanuts, and you can see in this picture, it's kind of a neat little handy tool. It just puts it in the canvas container at the top, and then you squeeze the little pinchy things at the bottom, and the peanuts fall out and fill up the container that you're packing. We do a lot of shipping. We buy peanuts. So anytime you have clean, dry peanuts, they would be happy to have them in shipping. Now, sadly, I don't have a collection program for that, so that's kind of a volunteer thing to take it down to 7001 at your convenience, or incorporating it into your STEP exercise program. They're not heavy, just carry them down there. All right, what about this? And this is a little sad. I took all these pictures this week. These are pictures at the lab where we have managed not to get the container in a collection bin. If it doesn't get in the collection bin, I can't collect it and send it off to be recycled. If it wasn't me or somebody else picking them up and putting them in a collection bin, they either end up being stormwater pollution or garbage. So there's and there's the back of a Kubota behind my building. Now, we had something exciting happen in FY10. I think we had a lab clean out and had some lab plastic that got recycled. But what we're normally seeing is this slowly increasing trend of plastic recycling. But FY10 was kind of an anomaly. All right. Then I went to the cafeteria. And one of the things that we would like for you to do is avoid disposables. In the cafeteria, they can't tell when you ask for your food if you're going to stay there or if you're going to take it to go. And they want to meet your needs. If you're going to eat in the cafeteria, eat on a plate. If you're going to take it back to your office or a conference room, go ahead and get the carry-out. But if you're going to eat in the cafeteria, ask for it to be on a plate. We also occasionally go to community coffee areas, and they have styrofoam cups. We want you to avoid that. I want you to bring your own cup with you, or come to our building, because we have cups. And we'll actually even wash them for you. If you come to Rad Worker 2 training and get a cup of coffee, you can use our cups. You can just leave it in the sink, and we'll wash it. I told Danny I wasn't going to put him in this presentation, and I lied. But Danny and Chuck are eating off of plates. And Danny even picked a beverage that he can recycle the container for. So Danny gets full credit in this presentation. The other thing is I bought and love these Corningware containers. So they're perfect size. I actually carry one around in my purse. So if I go to a restaurant, and instead of getting a carry-out, I get that. And that way it goes in the refrigerator, goes in the microwave, never spills. After dinner at our house, if there is any leftovers, because I have a teenage son, it goes right in there, and then it doesn't get fuzzy in the refrigerator. You can bring it to lunch the next day. All right, where's the opportunity here? One of the things that happens, view graphs. When's the last time anybody here used a view graph? Even remember? You know, they were the plastic things, and you put them on an overhead. Well, if you go to some supply cabinets, we still have view graphs. Okay, nobody's going to use them. Send them to Marcia. Send them to property sales. You can have a box, get a paper box of mixed office supplies. Put in a couple of notebooks, a box of view graphs, labels, pencils, things that you're not going to use. Fill out an e-prop form and send them to Marcia. Marcia can sell anything. Marcia has sold concrete slabs. These are things that we sold. The pink stuff is actually foam, and when we upgrade the supercomputers, we get in a lot of foam packaging those computer components. And they take up a lot of room, and people love them. So Marcia was able to sell those instead of us having to landfill them. Also in this picture are tables and fluorescent lamp fixtures. So anything, just because you don't want it, doesn't mean somebody doesn't. And, you know, we don't want to sell them garbage. But if there's any life left in something, or, you know, the foam, when April Dixon and I were sorting through it, we were thinking, this would make great animal beds. The egg crate stuff would make good, like if you had a wheelchair and somebody that was wheelchair bound, the egg crate stuff, put it in a pillowcase, and that would be a good non-compression seat for them. We're thinking, you could use it for this and this and this, and of course then Marcia sold it. All right. What's the opportunity here? This one I think is my fault. My fault in not working closely enough with the engineers that have projects here on site. This is a job that's behind the greenhouses, and because I'm not working with them to say, you know, what projects are coming up, I read the NEPA documentation, but until I was getting ready for this presentation, it didn't really click. You know, if you approve somebody doing work, then sometime later, work will be done. Well, why don't I have a container here at this job site? I know when the job's going to stop and start. If they have a container available to them, they'll likely use it. And so these are materials that I'm not recycling because I didn't put the right collection container there. We'll be fixing that. They're also generating some scrap metal that could go to our scrap metal bin, but by mixing it all together, it's just going to end up being garbage.
Is that our waste container or is that their waste container? We have the requirements in the bid package that they manage the waste container. And that they recycle the
That particular container is not labeled. It's in 1503. I just don't know. I want their recycling stuff to go at my diversion number. I don't want their garbage.
Well, they bring it on site, they take it off.
Okay.
It doesn't enter our waste stream at all. That keeps our numbers down with the packaging materials. That was what it was earlier.
Okay.
So I'll have
Good contract language. I still want the plastic though, because I want my plastic recycling number to be bigger. I'll be happy never happy for at least a few more years, because this job is so fun, Lance. This one, I didn't even know about until getting prepared for this presentation. I'm on my little bicycle with my camera running around taking pictures of things, and there's this vehicle, and it's full of dirt, and it's full of potting soil from the greenhouse, and we send that to the landfill. Now, that might be the exact right thing to do with it, so I'm not picking on the greenhouse people, but it does seem a little silly to be landfilling dirt. But if the research they were doing has seeds we don't want to escape or something, there may be a reason to have it under control. But I've also never talked with them about what alternatives there were, because I didn't know we generated that. So this is, you know, looking around, nosing around, looking in dumpsters and in back of trucks to see what we're throwing away, because I actually think, you know, this could be composted. If you ended up with a cafeteria compost and a greenhouse compost, that might be enough to make it economically viable to bring those together. All right, pop quiz. It's quiz time. This is just the inside of a dumpster. Does anybody see anything that shouldn't be here? Okay, I'm going to call on you by name. I know half of you.
Cardboard.
Okay, there's cardboard. The Cheerios box. The Cheerios box can go in recycled paper. Fiberboard can go. You need to rip that little tiny little coupon supporting schools off of it and give it to some mom that's collecting those for their schools. Anything else? There's a binder. There's that gray metal, not pretty to-do box. Can either probably go in scrap metal or go to Marcia and be sold. Someone would use that. And there's a plastic bottle next to the Cheerios box. So, what, maybe 30% of what's in this dumpster could go somewhere else and would help my diversion numbers. All right. You got to think of things that are recyclable as somebody's product. To you, it's a waste. Okay? You don't want it anymore. You need to find a place to get rid of it. But to somebody, it is a product. To the broker, to the end recycler, the plastic guy wants plastic. The paper guy wants paper. And the other thing that happens in between us wanting to be rid of it and somebody wanting to include it into a product is somebody sorts it. And we have a fabulous contract with the Michael Dunn Center. They come and service our gray cages that you've seen behind buildings. The janitors put the plastic and aluminum in bags in those gray cages. Michael Dunn people come and pick them up, take them back to the Michael Dunn Center, and sort them into the plastic, steel, and aluminum, which means that Billy, who's in this picture, touches your garbage, which means that I'm asking you not to do this. This plastic container is not an ashtray. It's also not a dip cup. Please empty it and think of it as a product. People at the Michael Dunn Center are fabulous. They do a great job, and they send me a monthly report telling us how we're doing. And they also offer this service to Roane County residents for a fee, if you're interested. All right, and I also promised Jerry Bohannon I would mention this. Do miss this opportunity. Do not bring your personal garbage here. There are a handful of people that do this, and we'd like for you to not. This is my personal garbage, and I took its picture and took it back out. So if anybody sees Jerry Bohannon, tell him that I didn't put my garbage in the dumpster. Okay, what's wrong with this? This is another tricky one. The fact that it even exists. When you walk into the ladies' room or the men's room and you do this in front of the paper machine, what happens? It spits out paper. What did you do 10 years ago? You just pulled it and it came out, right? So now we have a piece of equipment that you have to buy a battery for, change the battery in, and then recycle the battery. And we recycle a lot of batteries at ORNL, a lot. And it's pretty expensive now. Didn't used to be so expensive, it is now. So this is just a think about it. Do you need something that's battery operated? Do your pencil sharpener does it need to be battery operated? So as you're replacing equipment, I hope that's not me going off, but anyway, does it need to be a battery operated, or is it something you could do manually? You got to think through the whole process from the beginning to end. All right, and I promised I'd talk a little bit about construction and demolition. It's different because it's not dependent on number of people. It's really mostly dependent on money. It's like, are we building a new building? Are we taking a building down? But it has the same diversion goals, and that's why the bars are so different. In FY10, we did a lot of C&D work. In FY11 and 12, we did less. The nature of the projects, the amount of money we have to do projects, so you can't look at C&D waste and see a trend. Every year is Groundhog Day. It's a new year, and your performance that year isn't based on how you did the year before. The good news in construction and demolition waste is where the yellow bar is. The yellow bar is covered up by the green bar. which means that we are exceeding our goal. So the engineers in here, keep it up. You're doing a good job. But this is one of those where you can't rest. Next year, you got to do the same thing. So it's always a matter of taking what's going to be generated and figuring out how you can divert 50% or more of it. The other thing that's a challenge in C&D waste and is out of the engineer's hands is, if it's contaminated with beryllium or asbestos, it's going to the landfill. There is not an opportunity for recycling, and it would not be right to even attempt that. So we have a landfill that can accept those materials, and that's where we would send them. All right, let's go back to the executive order. What could be wrong with this? What in the world is wrong with recycling or diverting 50% of your waste generation? Nothing? Okay. This goal encourages mediocrity. We are a national lab. We are not mediocre. We don't want to be mediocre. We had a great effort in contracts. Contracts went paperless. Okay? Contracts, they're papery kind of people. They copy things, they print things, but they went paperless through their approval process. Does that help or hurt my diversion goal? It hurts it, because that meant I generated less, so I can't divert it. So, I want us to do well on this goal. The goal is for 2015. That's 2 years away. I think we can meet the goal. I need everybody to be thinking and also paying attention. It matters that every can makes it into the recycle bin. Every paper, every lean cuisine box needs to go in the recycle bin so we can up our diversion numbers. And then after that, I want you to make me explain to headquarters why we're not meeting the goal. I want to see us get serious about source reduction. I want to see us make it so that the universe that I'm trying to divert from gets so small that I don't have anything left to divert, and then maybe I'll stop meeting the goal. And secretly, I'll be okay with that. All right. When this talk was presented on the homepage, it was toss it. How do I get rid of this? I had a couple of emails from people sending me things that they wanted to know how to get rid of. So we're going to have a little Q&A. If there's something that you guys want to know, pick my brain, see if I can help you get rid of something. One of the things was mirrors with damaged silver. So there's two things. If you like the mirror and you hate that it's damaged, you can have it resilvered and make it pretty again. There are companies that do that. If you're an antique dealer, that destroys the value of it. They like it blotchy and splotchy and curled up around the edges. So don't mess with it if you want the antique value of it. What about outdated fixtures? When we moved into our house, it had some funky light fixtures. And for about 10 years, I kept them. And then I got to where they were a little too funky. What can you do with those? Habitat for Humanity stores loves those. They will take those. They usually sell them, and there are people that like what I find hideous, which is fine. They take sinks and toilets and curtain rods, half cans of paint. So if you can find a Habitat for Humanity store, they will be happy for that kind of donation. We do have a How Do I Manage This Waste website, and when it migrated in SharePoint, we lost most of the home things, which we are resurrecting. So we'll have that available to you, and I'm happy to entertain emails or calls if there's something that you need help at your home or at work finding a place for. Call me and let me know. Another one, CFLs. We push and push and push people to go to compact fluorescent lights. They have mercury in them. It's a small amount of mercury, so what do you do with them when they burn out? You can, take them to Home Depot, which is the only place that I know that will accept them, and they don't care where you bought them from. Or wait until the annual household hazardous waste collection comes around. Knox County has a permanent household hazardous waste collection facility. I think on Baxter. But every other county has one annually. Rowan County always seems to have one the Saturday around my son's birthday, so it makes it real hard for me to go. This year I managed to go. And because it's a state-run program, you can take your waste to a different county. Now, Knox County doesn't want it because they fund their own program. But if I live in Anderson County and it's more convenient for me to go to Loudoun or Rowan, I can do that. And they do have an annual program or collection every year. CARM has done an amazing job. You've seen CARM thrift stores popping up here and there. They will take almost anything. And the people that run CARM go to great effort to find an end use for that. So even like T-shirts that are stained, T-shirts that have logos on them. T-shirts that have logos on them actually sell very well overseas. But if it's a stained T-shirt and you're going, well, it's kind of gross, there is a rag dealer in Knoxville that will be happy to have your T-shirt. If it is a wool sweater that your husband, your kid put in the dryer and it went, there's a lady in Norris that uses those for crafts. So the CARM people do the sorting for you, and they find somebody that will do something fun and creative with the things that you no longer want. All right, does anybody have any questions, or would you like to play Stump the P2 Coordinator and see if you have something you want to get rid of that I can help you first? Styrofoam blocks? Is it from your home or here? Okay, I don't have a good answer if it's here. If it's at home, the Knoxville Recycling Coalition will take it from you. They sell you a giant plastic bag for $5, and you put as much styrofoam in there as you can, and then they'll take it from you for free after you bought the bag for $5. So it's Knoxville Recycling Coalition, and they're not, wherever you are, you'd have to take it to them, but they don't care what county or anything you're from. Yeah. Right now, nothing is done here except garbage. And, the shipping people aren't going to want things that are already in a form. There is a technology. The problem with styrofoam is it doesn't weigh anything. So your transportation costs to get it to a viable market are huge. The Knoxville Recycling Coalition has a piece of equipment that can kind of melt it into a log, and then the log is compact enough that it makes sense so that you can recycle or transport it to recycle it. We've looked into that, but it's not in place. But it's a possibility. Yeah.
When we have cardboard boxes that we receive, place in the hallway and somebody comes by, does that person separate out the cardboard and get the stuff and take care of everything?
It's the janitor is the person that takes it away, and it is likely that the contents are put in the trash and the box put in the recycle bin. The box does make it to the recycle bin. And cardboard is one of the nice commodities. Used oil and cardboard are the things we get money for. Everything else that we recycle, we have to pay somebody to do. So we're pretty good about our cardboard. But yeah, if you're in a building, a facility that receives a lot and has like a lot of peanuts or a lot of airbags, you might, make a pan of brownies for your custodian and see if they'll collect those in a storage area or something. Yeah?
Well, I had an observation. You're trying to set your percentage up, but most people don't care. But if you had some kind of motivation line-wide that the lab got something, if you've got the numbers up, I think you might be able to get some people on board that don't care. You know what I mean? There's only a handful of people here on a certain thousand.
I think we should divide the prize, just the people that came to this talk. And it should be monetary, right, Herb? Monetary prize. You're right, though. People like stuff. They like rewards. So, yeah, well... sustainable campus, we can toss that around, and maybe something as simple as an ice cream social or something like that if we meet our goals. Yes. Marcia Whitson, Whitson, and she's in property sales. Mm-hmm. If you will take its plastic bag and set it on top of the recycling container, then it will. If you put it in the garbage, then it won't. But yeah, the shred-it people will take bags that are on top of the containers. Now, we don't like to see the bags, pile up, because then the fire marshal people don't like that. Shred-it comes on Wednesdays. Depending on what building you're in, you get serviced every 2 weeks or every 4 weeks. I get charged every time they touch a bin. So I like the bins to be 75 to 100% full, and that's what determines the frequency of when they get picked up. But sometimes, people are moving or going, hey, it's time we cleaned out our files. You can get picked up more frequently. Any others? Yeah, wait, okay.
I've got a bunch of electronic stuff at home. I would like to get rid of that.
Sneak it into work. No, wait, that's the wrong answer. Where do you live? I'm not terribly familiar with Loudoun County, but I know it's good, and I know they would like your electronic stuff. So I will find you the contact and email you that. Interestingly, and I've talked to the Rowan County, Loudoun County, and Anderson County solid waste managers. They are the smartest people in your county hierarchy, government. They are very savvy. They are very aware of costs, very aware of how to make a dollar. They are some seriously smart people in the county. So, and I know the Loudoun County one is good. Yes.
Straight across from Costco, but it's not there's a recycling center that takes electronics, batteries, anything. Straight across from Costco.
Okay. Which would be a Knox County one. Is that far from you? And
Knox County, they shut
no, but nobody probably pays attention. Until now, when I said it out loud. Yes?
A lot of times, too, people are looking for a reward for their waste or whatever. You can take pretty much anything, like a farm or Goodwill, you get the tax write-off for it, and at the end of the year, I had a 36-inch, the old tube television. I tried to sell it on Craigslist. Nobody wanted it. I didn't put it in the free section. It was heavy. I couldn't take it. So I had a buddy tell me to put it in Goodwill. I get tax write-off for it. So, they'll pretty much take anything, electronics, stuff like that, too. You get something out of it, and they get a little something out of it. Mm-hmm. That's kind of nice. Clothes and everything, tax write-off, whatever you want.
Yes.
Pastor Rod, earlier saying, plastic. So I live in Knoxville, there's a second spring. So all that plastic that goes in the barrel, they sort through it?
They sort through it, and they will actually set it aside. And, if it's a big enough facility, and Knoxville is a big facility, if the market ever gets to the place that mixed plastics have a positive value, then they can sell it. Most of them, and they don't sort them, they sort the ones, they sort the twos, and then everything else is other. And occasionally other ends up in China, in India, so I got to where I don't recycle those things. Now, plastic shopping bags are different. If you will take your shopping bag and put it in the collection container at the grocery store, it's 100% the same stuff. So it's a product to them. That makes it, because it's the same stuff, it's clean and dry, that makes it viable for them to recycle it. So that's the one different thing that's not in the ones and twos. Yes?
I have a question about the mesh bag that comes in like a bag of apples or a bag
I don't know of anything right now. The only thing that I have considered is using them for bird feeders, for like suet feeders, but you only need 1 or 2 of those. You don't need a never-ending supply. I will look and see if anybody has anything.
I still be able to run them away, and they can't be recycled. I mean, some of them are sort of plastic.
Yeah, but they would not be recycled here. There are plastic, like if you live in Atlanta, you can recycle styrofoam. You know, it's enough concentrated people in a concentrated location that transportation issues change. But it's not like that here. Yes?
Susan, in three people, what sounds like the opportunity for missing with compost and the organic waste cafeteria. Do you have any idea what volumes we're talking about there? Cubic yards of food waste are generated?
We spent, was it 2 summers ago, and kind of a lot of time in the cafeteria. And the cafeteria does a phenomenal job of not over-generating food. At the end of the day, the food that was uneaten, you know, would fit on 1 tray. It was tiny, and I was blown away by that. What they do generate, cantaloupe rinds, broccoli stems, onion skins, things you don't eat. So you do have to dispose of. And they generate on the order of 200 pounds a day. So even when you're feeding 800 people and you have that little waste, we really, economically, we couldn't make the case for composting that. Cafeteria also comes with things like, you know, it's got to go away every day or it's going to stink. So having to sort it and get rid of it on a daily basis makes it labor intensive. But then when I discover things like the soil from the greenhouse, well, if we combine that with the material from the cafeteria, then you're combining your greens and browns, you get a better quality product. The soil from the greenhouse would be liquid absorbing, so you get away from.
I don't know how much the lab stands on landscaping, but you have sustainable landscaping. Yeah, we're not composting our own site, things like that. Do those waste streams speak to the executive order, though?
Yes, that would count as diversion. You would not be going to the landfill, so it would be positive toward our goal of, in the executive order. And there is reporting requirements for composting. So if we do compost, they're interested in knowing that. Yes.
So anything going to property sales, is that considered diversion also?
Yes, because it would need to be something that would be a candidate for the landfill. Like, I don't count, we recycle fluorescent lamps and batteries, and I don't count that as toward my diversion goal because I would have to handle it as hazardous. I can't send lamps to the landfill, so I don't count that. So things that go to property, chemicals, we do occasionally sell chemicals from property sales. I wouldn't count that, but furniture, clothing, PPE. We sell the PPE that comes out of our building in Rad Worker 2 training because it was never contaminated. You used it during training, but it's still PPE. We sell that. So, did you have another question?
Could you talk a little more about batteries? What kind of batteries can you throw away in your trash, and then what kinds should not be put in the trash?
If you are at ORNL, you don't throw any batteries in the trash. And what we found is that as particularly alkaline batteries, as some companies moved to reduce the amount of mercury that was in those batteries and make them eligible for sending to the landfill, overseas companies did not. And it's difficult to distinguish which ones can be landfilled and which ones cannot, so we recycle all of them. If you're in your home, you can put in the landfill alkaline batteries, the A, B, C, AAA, AA, C and D, and 9 volts. But if it's a button battery, a watch battery, battery out of your smoke detector, those need to go to a place like Batteries Plus, and they'll recycle your battery whether or not you buy a new battery from them.
Couple things, I think we still have 16 our recycling cell phones, and maybe we can figure out whether it's shown something like that, if we have all cell phones.
Personally owned.
Yes. The other thing I know we've talked about, when people get ready to move or retire, sometimes they just kind of dump all office supplies or something they think maybe somebody else wouldn't have a need for in the trash, and that's not a good thing either.
Yep. Yep, box those up and send, miscellaneous office supplies can be put in a box and sent to property sales. And there are plenty of, like nonprofit companies that really are very happy to get our file folders and notebooks and stuff like that. The only thing you need to be a little careful of is to make sure it's not something with the DOE or UT Battelle logo. All right, now we're at the end. Time for door prizes. Okay, what number am I thinking of? Melissa, pick a number. Oh yeah, that's it. Which one would you like? Dolly is a lovely gray tabby. Daisy is a little tortoiseshell. Rescued, hissing balls of fur, lovingly turned into wonderful cat. So, see me if you're interested. Thank you.